All right, welcome. Today, we are going to deconstruct a story that really blurs the line between a ghost story and, well, a psychological trap. It's this chilling tale about a room, a mirror, and a rent that is just way, way too good to be true.
And boom, with that single ominous line, we're thrown right into the world of a young man named Arjun. He's telling us his story, and it all starts with what seems like a simple mistake, but it spirals into this desperate fight for his very identity.
So our story kicks off in a pretty familiar way, right? You've got a character who's in a really tight spot, and that desperation leads him to an offer he just can't refuse, even though he absolutely should have.
So let's meet Arjun. He's brand new to the big city. He's chasing his dreams, but he's only got about 8,000 rupees to his name. For 3 weeks straight, he's just been hitting wall after wall. Landlords keep turning him away because of his tiny budget, and honestly, he's at his breaking point. And that's when he sees it, this little handwritten note on a dusty old notice board.
The rent for a huge, spacious room is just 3,000 rupees. Now, in a city where just finding a room is a nightmare, this isn't just a good deal, it's basically a miracle. The landlord, an old, quiet man named Vimalji, seems a little withdrawn, sure, but that price, it's just too tempting to ask too many questions. Of course, this miracle comes with one very, very strange condition.
Vimalji makes this one rule crystal clear. Whatever happens, whatever Arjun thinks he hears or sees, he must not step outside his room after dark. Arjun just kind of laughs it off, He figures it's just a weird quirk of an old man. So he agrees, and the deal is done.
And this, my friends, is where our story really gets going. That strange rule is about to be put to the test, and the true price of that cheap rent is gonna become terrifyingly clear.
The way this escalates is just so slow, which makes it even creepier. The first 2 nights, nothing, silence. But on the third night, he hears footsteps from the floor below him. Night 4, they're closer, right on the second floor. But by the 5th night, it's not just footsteps anymore. It's a scratching sound, and it's coming from right outside his door.
And then, the haunting becomes way more direct. A little piece of paper gets slid under his door in the dead of night. The handwriting is all shaky, but the message is just chillingly direct. It's not just a random sound anymore. It's a presence, and it's telling him he doesn't belong.
Terrified, Arjun does what any of us would do. He tries to rationalize it. He goes to Vimalji, who just cryptically says it's the old tenant. But after getting that note, Arjun knows he can't just ignore it, and this is what leads him to a discovery that completely shatters his reality.
So he can't sleep, he's just staring at the ceiling, and he starts digging online, looking for anything about the building. He finds almost nothing, until he stumbles on this tiny local news report from 10 years ago. It talks about a tenant who died under suspicious circumstances. And the address? Yeah, it's the same building on the 3rd floor.
This is the exact moment the story flips from a simple haunting to a full-blown identity crisis. Because the victim in that article wasn't just some random tenant. His name was Arjun Sharma. He was 25 years old, a job seeker, new to the city. Every single detail matches his own.
And that's the question that just sends him completely off the deep end. If Arjun Sharma died in this very room 10 years ago, then who is he? Who is the person living there right now? He storms out, confronts Vimalji, demanding answers, and he finally gets the devastating truth behind it all.
This confrontation leads us to the tragic, beating heart of this story. Because this isn't just about a ghost, it's about a prisoner. And that room, it's his cage.
The old tenant, the thing that's been scratching at his door, it's Vimalji's own son. The young man who died 10 years ago, the original Arjun Sharma. He never really left. He's been trapped here this whole time. And Vimalji, completely lost in a father's grief, has been trying to free him ever since.
The trap itself is just horrifyingly simple. The son's spirit is imprisoned inside an old mirror in the room, and every new tenant, well, they're the bait. The son's spirit tries to scare them, to trick them, to lure them into opening the door at night, and if they do, they trade places. The new tenant gets sucked into the mirror, and the son is finally set free.
So, faced with this terrible choice, become the next prisoner in the mirror or just let this awful cycle continue, Arjun has this sudden moment of clarity. He thinks back to Vimalji's original warning, do not leave the room. It was never about opening the door, it was a loophole. and he realizes the only way to actually win this thing isn't to play the game, it's to smash the whole game board to pieces.
He goes back to the room and confronts the thing in the mirror, his own face, staring back at him, begging to be let out. But instead of opening the door for it, Arjun grabs the mirror and smashes it on the floor. And the sound isn't described as breaking glass. It's described as a human scream of pure agony, which is then followed by a deafening, unnerving silence.
So, the mirror is destroyed. It really seems like the curse is broken, right? Arjun gets out of there that same day, finds a new, more expensive place, and just tries to move on with his life. But the story isn't quite over.
A few months go by, and Arjun happens to pass by the old building. It's all locked up, completely deserted. A neighbor tells him that old Vimalji passed away, just a lonely old man whose son had died a long, long time ago. And for a second, it feels final. It feels like a really tragic but closed chapter.
But then, we get the final gut punch of a twist. Back in his new room, Arjun notices an old mirror hanging on the wall. His new landlord casually mentions it was left behind by the last tenant. Some guy who just up and left, really abruptly, in the middle of the night. The cycle wasn't broken. It feels like its broken pieces have just found a new home.
Which leaves us and Arjun with this final haunting question. When you're dealing with a curse that's born from something as powerful as grief and desperation, can you ever really destroy it? Or do you just become the person who carries its broken pieces to the next unsuspecting victim?